All right, before we get to this game, I got one more question for you. I want to look back to the last three. Brock Purdy is on fire. Statistically, by far the best stretch of his career. When we ask the coaches, like, is this the best he's ever played? Has he improved? They don't really want to say yes. They're like, he's always been good. What do you see? Has he taken like the next step, or is it just the offense in general? Is it Kyle? Is it the defenses they're facing? What do you think?
I tell you what, for the most part, he's making much more intelligent decisions. I think he kind of realizes that he doesn't have to go out there and win the ball game by himself. Okay, distribution is important. It's not a sin to throw a check down. It's not a sin to complete a 5 or 6 yard throw. You don't have to throw chunk passes or home run balls every snap. It doesn't have to be an air raid concept where the bombs are dropping, for 40, 45, 50 yarders, especially when that's not your game. And so I think along the line, Brock finally has got to the point where he can be happy being who he is and being the best who he can be, rather than trying to be what someone else might think he is or would like him to be, and know that if he's efficient and effective at playing his game, that's more than enough for these guys to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So you're saying it's not necessarily that he's become this elite playmaker, although he's playing like it. It's that he's gotten more responsible. He's making better decisions.
And he's making the plays when the opportunity comes to him. It's, make the throw. Throw the ball to the proper shoulder or the numbers or wherever it has to be to allow the run after the catchability. Get the ball out of your hands more quickly. Don't sit there and see the open guy right in front of you, but I'm going to wait for the guy over the top and hope that the second guy is going to come open. I'm going to take the one that appears and shows right now, get the ball out of my hands, allow the yardage to accrue, and I will come back to that pattern maybe later in the game and see if that guy can win more quickly for me up the field. But in the meantime, I'm going to take advantage of what I have right in front of me now and then go forward from there. Keep the pressure on the defense, and I'm not going to try to force the issue.
Okay. I thought it was interesting on that pick six that Kyle Shanahan said it was the right throw. Did you hear that?
You mean the one to Jennings?
Yeah. He was like, that was definitely the right read. I want him to rip that every time. Like, that was a good play by the quarterback.
No. He said, let me say this. Okay, first of all, there was a donkey call by Kyle. Okay, let's be honest. I'm not going to pick up the ball and throw the first play of the game to Jennings.
Yeah.
I want him, I'm sorry. He doesn't merit that kind of a target to play that ball game, that magnitude of a game. That's not my best option as a player offensively, even with Kittle out of the game. He doesn't scare anybody.
That's true. All right. Okay. Look.
No disrespect, but he is what he is. Okay. Yeah. Understand your people. Understand your personnel. Understand what their strengths are.
Yeah. All right. I got another one for you before we move on. Ben Johnson after the game, he gives these backhanded compliments. It's hilarious. Like, first of all, he seems like he doesn't like Caleb Williams that much. He was like, "Man, Colston Loveland was great. Luther Burden was great. Caleb Williams did some good things." Like, whoa. And then later he was asked about Purdy, and his all-time backhanded compliment. He said, "Oh man, he's really dangerous, particularly when he can see down the field." What does that mean? When he can see down the field? Meaning he can't see down the field all the time? I guess he can't.
Well, you look at the interceptions that Brock has thrown over the season and even throughout his career. He is throwing picks in the middle of the field, and even from the end zone when you're behind the quarterback, I can see a defender between him and the receiver, and Purdy tries to make that throw. And he threw a pick on an in route a couple of weeks ago, and my goodness, there was a linebacker like, an iron deer on the lawn standing there between him and the receiver, and he threw the ball right at the guy. And I'm like, How can you not see that guy? I mean, the line of vision is right there. So the other thing about it is, if he were 6'2 and a half, 6'3", I don't think maybe he would make some of the throws that he does throw. He thinks that there's a lane, a vision for him to make the throw, but he's thinking, I can get the ball up and down over the top of that guy sitting there. Instead, the ball comes out too flat and it's a pick. If I don't have a clear line of sight and an anticipation of the window that's going to be unobstructed, I am not going to put the ball in that window. It's that simple.
That's why Kyle likes to roll him out of the pocket left and right, so he has a clear view.
Correct. Sid used to say this all the time. He used to tell me, he says, kid, look it. You got to move the quarterback every 4 or 5 snaps. You cannot have the same launch point all the time. You got to keep the defense off balance. Waggle them, bootleg them, naked them. You got to get them outside the pocket, and you got to put them on the edge, and you got to change the launch point so the defense cannot just zero in, because even a blind pig can find an acorn once in a while, like a sack, because you just rush to a spot. Well, if the quarterback is not at that spot, you cannot always just rush to the spot and expect to find the quarterback there. And that's key for Brock to be successful. He's got to be on the move every 4th, every 5th snap, boot, naked, waggle, whatever. Get him on the edge. Change the rush spots for the defense. It's got to be, where's Waldo today? It's not like he's always behind you at 7 to 9 yards, sitting on the ground.
Right. If you want to do that, just play Mac Jones. What do you think of the Niners using Brock Purdy on zone reads? They've been doing
this time of year, let me say this. There comes a point in time when you're playing in a game of this magnitude, you're in the low red zone. Hey, I can take a shot and do it. Because I tell you what, how many defensive coaches have even brought into the defensive room the thought that Purdy can keep the ball on the zone read concept? That's a great. Kyle pulls that one out of his hat. That's the rabbit out of his hat down in the low red zone. The last thing you're thinking McCaffrey, you're thinking Kittle, you're thinking whomever. The last thing you're thinking is Brock Purdy on zone read walking into the end zone. Now, if that was Hurts or Love or someone like that, hey, my antenna would be up, but not for Brock Purdy. And see, that's a great call right there.
Love that.